everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fire Up. Are we fired up tonight, guys, or what?
Always.
I'm as fired up as I can get. I've been laying on the couch all day.
Well, then you should be the most fired up because you got all that energy. Come on now.
No, it feels like I broke my big toe, so it kind of sucks.
Ouch. Ouch. Okay, well, I know somebody else that's a lot fired up, and that would be the U.S. women's hockey team because they did it today in dramatic fashion. They pulled their goalie with 2 minutes to go to score the tying goal so that they could extend it into overtime. And then in overtime, they took care of business and they won gold. In fact, I think they did the whole tournament and they only had 2 or 3 goals scored against them the whole tournament.
Prior to this game, the last 6 games they played, they were leading 35-1 in goals scored. How many goals did Canada score today?
1. Because we won 2-1.
So we won 2-1. So that means throughout the 7 games they played, throughout all of it, 37-2. Ginzer, good to see you, brother.
Pretty much a domination. And honestly, like we talked about that on the show previous. We were talking on Sports Wrap that in women's hockey, it's really come down to USA and Canada for like forever. There isn't another big women's team that has had the domination that those two teams have. I will say congratulations to Hillary Knight as she is the one that equaled the score, but that was her 15th goal scored in the Olympics, so that makes her the highest scorer of goals in women's on the women's hockey side. So kudos to her for that. Kudos to the whole team. I mean, gold doesn't get much better than that. So nice. I'm going to ask. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I said nice.
So what of the Olympic sports caught your attention? Have you been watching? What did you like? What haven't you liked?
Curling's been spicy. The men's curling, it's been really spicy. The women's curling even got spicy there for a minute, especially after we heard about the cheating scandal by Canada. Why do you have to cheat at a sport you created?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain this to me? Because all I see is like them doing all this little. What's up with that?
It's hard to explain because I don't know the sport.
I don't know it either.
I
saw bartenders like tapping beer with it, and I'm like, what the fuck? What? Yeah, I said it. I stopped myself though.
I don't understand the sport myself. It's like a version of lawn darts with rocks that slide on ice.
And you want to get it in the middle, and you can knock other people out, and
it's like a combination between bocce, lawn darts, and bowling. The way they do it.
I just don't understand how they're like cheating. I don't understand like what's the little finger thing? Does that give a little extra groove or?
That I don't know. Let's see.
I'm just curious because I'm assuming that that's what they called the cheating.
Yeah, I didn't read into it as much, so I'm not exactly sure. I was wondering if I remember seeing something about it, but I didn't go into like the whole gist of it. Let's see if anybody's written about it. Cheating. I know I'm watching it right now. It's on. Cheating and curling. Samir, have you been watching the Olympics?
That's what it was.
To be honest, I really haven't watched much of it.
The controversy centered entirely on curling, not the broader Canadian Olympic delegation. Multiple outlets reported that Sweden accused Canadian curler Mark Kennedy of double touching the stone past what's called the hog line. which would be an advantage because he can redirect it before they start having to brush.
It's so hard to believe you could cheat in this game.
Yeah, because they're saying that he crossed the line and he was pushing it in certain ways to direct it more.
But they put it on frame by frame in Ultra HD, and he did not touch it past the hog line, so he was falsely accused. There was no cheating in the scandal. But it caused a big scene because they were actually yelling back, "Off-duty bros, can you speak to me? How you doing? I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you watching the channel. It's good to see you. So a shout out to you, Off-duty bros."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Samir, you haven't been watching. You've been too busy with classes and homework, I'm guessing.
Yeah, like unfortunately, I haven't really been able to watch much of the Olympics, but I do know that the men's hockey team, they beat it was like their first time in 8 matches. They beat, was it Switzerland? Forgot who they beat yesterday. Or Sweden.
Or it had to be the other team.
I don't know what that's
about.
It was Sweden. It was Sweden 2-1.
Yeah, Sweden. It was like their first time since 1955, and their first time in 8 matches that they beat them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more worried about that cheap shot on Crosby.
Yeah.
How long he's out. The reports are all mixed up. You're not getting any accurate reports.
You probably won't until he has an MRI.
It says he might play on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Or whenever.
I know the initial report was that it was his ACL.
And Dylan Larkin's been playing really well for USA. That
he scored I think he scored one of the early goals and the go-ahead goal for USA today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When did they play?
Yeah, didn't Quinn Hughes score the game winner?
I think Saturday. Tomorrow is the semifinals for men's, and the finals is on Sunday at 8 a.m.
Right. The Quinn Hughes scored the game winner the other day, though.
I know that. Yeah, but it wasn't the final score like 4-3 or 3-2 or something like that.
It was 2-1.
It was 2-1, I thought.
Oh, I thought that was the women.
I thought they were both 2-1.
They both were, yeah. Dylan scored the first one in the second period. Let's see. Yeah, he scored in the second period. The other team scored in the third period to tie it. And then the go-ahead was Hughes in overtime.
There was some other interesting news that came out. Indiana passed the law about if a sports franchise moves to Indiana, they're going to get 3 years income tax free. And the team that reacted the most to it was Chicago, because they were looking at that small suburb just outside of Gary called Hammond. And we may have the Hammond Bears or the Gary Bears or whatever they want to be called, or the Indiana Bears. I don't care.
Yeah, I just don't see how they can leave Chicago. I mean, I know for a couple of years seemed like they were gonna move to Arlington Heights, which was outside of Chicago, about half an hour outside of Chicago, which, I mean, even then, but I feel like to move to like Indiana, that just doesn't, I mean, it just doesn't fit. And my thing is, Indiana already has one team. I don't think they're big enough of a market to have 2 teams.
Oh, I'm going to disagree with you, Samir, only because I know how close Chicago is to Indiana.
With bad traffic, it's less than an hour to get out of Chicago to Gary. Harlingen Heights was about the same distance and takes about the same amount of time to go south out of Chicago. The problem is the state stopped all funding to help build the stadium. They also said they will not give them a tax break the first year or two, with them putting most of the money out of pocket after they already bought the raceway that they tore down to start building. So they already invested all this money, and the state and the local people are not supporting Chicago Bears to move for the move. And the problem is the contract on Soldier Field is up soon. I think it's up in 2028.
Their lease, yeah, it's up in 28. I read that earlier.
So they don't want to stay and be putting upkeep into a building that is defunct and falling apart and has the lowest seating capacity in the NFL.
Yeah. And the ironic thing about Soldier Field is they renovated it like 20 years ago.
And that was to add 12,000 seats to get it to 62,000. So yes, is this the NFL? We talk NFL, all sports on Fire Up. It's not just NFL. We sometimes talk basketball. We sometimes talk baseball.
Yeah. And yeah.
Hey, who was that?
Marty Russell.
Marty. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah. Speaking of which, I was going to get into basketball. So today, I know Shams Charania revealed that. So tanking is again an issue in the NBA. Well, it's become a hot topic issue. You've got people on all sides of it saying in favor of it, against it for a multitude of reasons. And recently, in case this is last week, I know the NBA fined the Utah Jazz, I believe, $500,000 for taking, I think, Lauri Markkanen and I think another player out of the game during the fourth quarter, because they have one of the bottom 3, bottom 4 records in the NBA. This is a very good draft class. The top 5, you can have like 5 all-star level, 5 potential franchise players there alone. So you've got teams like the Wizards, the Kings, the Nets, and even the Jazz who are, sitting injured. You got players getting season-ending surgeries, players sitting down because they want to get that pick. So the NBA, to combat tanking, according to Adam Silver, proposed several concepts. So first-round picks can be protected only when they're in the top 4 or in the lottery in general. After the trade deadline, a team's lottery odds freeze. A team cannot pick in the top 4 in back-to-back years. You cannot pick in the top 4 after making the conference finals. You can have lottery odds distributed based on a record based off your last 2 years. And the lottery would extend to all playing teams, which I think it already does. Now, my thing about this is, number one, if you're protecting picks that are only in the top 4, wouldn't that provide teams more of an incentive to tank if they're near the bottom to increase their odds of being in the top 4? Number one. Number two, if you're doing it based off of a 2-year record. So let's say I want to tank this season and next season. And next season, knowing that there is a LeBron, Wemby level, like generational prospect, I feel like that would make tanking even worse, and it would be over a number of several years. And then also, if you are going to say that teams can't pick top 4 the year after making the conference finals, like let's say hypothetically, I'm just going to use hypothetical. So in case the Hawks traded for the Pelicans' current first-round pick. Now, let's say hypothetically the Hawks were to make the conference finals. Hypothetically, they can't. So again, they're in control of the Pelicans' pick. Teams shouldn't be punished because another team's front office made a mistake. And also, Halliburton's out for the year for the Pacers. They're going to be in the top 4 in all likelihood. So should they be punished for Halliburton getting injured? Like, this is where the flaw is in this. And then the last thing I'm going to say is it's really about the selective outrage from the NBA. Like, teams have been tanking for years. Philly built a team based off a promotion of tanking, literally called The Process. And the media promoted it. Oklahoma City tanked, had to tank for a couple of years. San Antonio tanked, won the lottery, and got Wemby. But now when you have teams like the Kings, the Nets, the Jazz, the Wizards, and potentially the Hawks, all relatively not the biggest NBA brands or markets that could potentially benefit from it, now they want to change the rules. That's my problem with it.
Well, the problem is the actual lottery itself, as far as I'm concerned. If you have the worst record, the only way another team should pick in front of you is not if their ball dropped in the lottery. I think that pick should be protected overall. The number 1 pick, and that's the only one protected. And the reason why, look at the year that we had the worst record in the league, and we got stuck with the 5th pick out of the lottery. So that means we wouldn't have a protected pick. You see what I'm getting at, Samir?
Yeah.
So this lottery is totally backwards. Bad guys in style.
Sorry, I do want to say hi, Earl. Thank you for joining us tonight again. I know you were watching us last night, so on this show we're gonna mix it up a lot. And right now we're talking NBA.
I don't have an NBA team, so I don't know much about the NBA. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna sit in the back seat on this one and be very quiet.
No problem.
Nothing against the NBA. I just don't have an NBA team because I don't have an NBA team.
Yeah, you got 3 sports in your town.
I either go to Cleveland or I go to Philadelphia.
So we have 3 sports in my town, but it's not the hockey. So we do have in my old town, I should say.
Of Madison, right?
We don't have except for the college hockey, correct? And college hockey we have, but as far as NBA, yeah, they got to do something because tanking, you never want to see any teams tank. That's just not right.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think everyone can agree. We don't want to see players getting shut down. If, like, hypothetically, if you had a favorite player, if you had lived in, let's say you live in Atlanta and you are a fan of another player from another state and their team is tanking, they're going to shut that player down. Like, that's not right for the fans. But I think you have to give small market teams more of an opportunity to get franchise changing level talent.
Problem is we don't have people like LeBron coming out of high school anymore because they don't allow kids to come straight out of high school to the NBA. So you'll never see that type of clamor over a guy coming out of high school again. And what happens usually, these guys that are clamored about out of high school, they go to college and get exposed because the talent level of the guys that are actually there and have experience outshines them. Very rarely do you have one that's a one and done in college that's great in the NBAs right off the rip. It just doesn't happen anymore. It's usually the guys that have at least 2 to 3 years experience, which tells you that the college is basically a farm team and the G League is the developmental league of the NBA.
I will say, you're talking about college basketball. Scott and I actually covered. We were at the USF versus FAU college men's basketball game on Sunday. One of the questions that Scott asked the coach after the game, which you can see the whole press conference after the game on our YouTube channel, but one of the questions he asked him was, FAU is not a big program. They don't have a lot of money. They play in a small stadium, and they don't have the NIL money that a lot of other teams and a lot of other colleges do. What does FAU do to bypass that to still get some of the good players? Because the coach was saying, I can't get any of the top 50 centers because all of them, if I got one of them, it would take my whole NIL budget and I'd be done. So he goes, I can't afford them. So what he does is he recruits internationally. And I thought that was really interesting. And when we went to the game, there was up on one of the behind the bleachers that they had, there was, I think it was 6 or 7 different flags from different countries. And I was wondering what those were. Those were flags representing the countries of some of the players on the team that he recruited.
That's awesome.
And I thought that was kind of different.
Why is bad guys in style have question marks? I don't see a question from him.
I don't either, but earlier said he was 6, so I don't know what that is. That's from one of your guys' channels too.
It's from my channel. I've never seen him before, so I don't know who's talking. Are you 6? Are you 7? Or are you 67? Because that's what I'm confused about. Because you put
it's this new trend that's gone viral.
7.
Mm-hmm.
I know. If
don't
pay
get
attention, Kamala Harris answered your handle is 6 at the end now to match the trend. So dumb.
Yeah, NBA has changed from the 70s and early. NBA has changed. It's not the same anymore. I can't watch it.
And he's absolutely right. NBA is not the same anymore. They're not able to play defense like they used to. Oh, he's 67. Okay. That's cool. It looks like an adult standing next to a truck in the picture. So that's great to see you.
Now we know. Oh, no, not with the G.I. Joe thing. No, knowing is half the battle.
No, I don't game. I talk about sports because I study it. I love sports in general. I excel at football, as Candy well knows, and Samir has noticed too. And Samir does an excellent job with football, as does Adam. That's our forte. But we study enough to be able to at least discuss the rest of the sports intelligently.
Exactly. Samir, any more on the tanking or the NBA that you wanted to discuss?
Anything on the NBA? No.
Okay.
The only other thing I heard Adam Silver says is that if this doesn't work, we may have to make the rookies free agents, and I think that would be the worst thing they could possibly do.
That would kill the NBA, because now, again, it seems like, and the media included, they want all the star players on the same select handful of teams. And if that's the case, why don't we just get rid of all the teams except for that select handful, the Lakers, the Spurs, the Celtics, the Heat? I mean, clearly they want every star to go to those teams. It's ridiculous.
And think about this. If they kill the draft, which is the most watched NBA event other than the All-Star game, the NBA and the MLB are the 2 best sports for All-Star games, in my opinion. Because hockey doesn't translate well to TV and doesn't draw the ratings that the other 2 do. But the MLB one, making it so they play for something, whether it's the American League or the National League, get home field advantage in the World Series, that puts something on the line. It makes it something more watchable. Is it more of an offensive slugfest? 100%. You see the best pitchers trying to take out the best hitters from all 30 teams, and it's an amazing thing to watch. Because that's why you see scores like 13-10 or 8-7 versus like your regular games where you might see 3-2. MDE hopped in the chat. Good to see you, brother. But if they do away with the draft, which is more watched than the NBA Finals last year by a Nielsen rating of 18.2, that's 1.82 million viewers they will lose on top of whatever watch the NBA Finals. Because what's going to happen is your big market teams that have the money and doesn't mind paying the luxury tax to go over that hard cap, because there's like 2 levels of it, right? Isn't there like the first level where there really isn't a penalty, then there's a hard penalty, and then there's the capped penalty, correct? Isn't that how that works? So you're going to have teams like LA and the New Yorks and the Bostons,
Just buying all the top players.
The Boston. I love it. Anyway.
And so those East and West Coast teams are going to buy up all the players, just like they do in baseball that has no real hard cap whatsoever. And I hope they do next year when the CBA comes up that they vote in the hard cap.
Why?
Because it's going to make it more parity and a level playing field across the board.
Yep.
A lot of teams will have to restructure players. And they're also talking about making it so there's no deferred payments. So if that happens, you know what 2 teams are in the worst shape. I played baseball. I played sports back in high school, but I'm not healthy enough to. And I don't play video games either. I got too much to do. You know, I write articles for the South Florida Tribune and another website. I do 8 shows a week podcasting about sports of my own, plus do 1 or 2 with the South Florida Tribune and guest with Adam's shows. I also guest with other people's shows when they invite me. So sometimes I'm doing 11 and 12 shows a week on top of working a day job. So yeah, I don't play video games that much anymore. If I do it,
if these owners want to spend their own money, why are you going to stop them? They'd rather have championships and barely make any money throughout the year. I can't blame them for this.
Yeah.
I live in Weirton, but it's like 20 minutes out of Pittsburgh.
I love that IFD right here. If a cap in MLB means there has to be a floor as well, that forces Pitt, Colorado, White Sox, and etc. to start paying at a level that at least makes them potentially competitive.
We're not in the bottom top 5 anymore, but guys.
I know, but where have you been?
We're not in the bottom top 5 anymore. I think it was Kansas City, Cleveland, Colorado,
White Sox.
The White Sox and
Tampa Bay Rays.
It might be the Rays, yeah. I think Pitt was like
the Athletics aren't there anymore.
No, the Athletics.
I know they moved up. I just don't know how much.
So they moved up. They're starting to pay more. You know, it helps that Billy Bean is gone.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of Major League Baseball, in case you guys haven't heard, this week the Phillies signed an 11-year-old shortstop prospect for $2 million. Wow. And I think that's the record for the youngest international free agent prospect in MLB history. Now, from what I know, you have to be at least for Major League Baseball international free agent signing rules. You're only eligible if that prospect is 16 years old, can't be older than 20. And this applies to players outside of the United States and Canada. Now, my thing is that's got to be some sort of loophole because I don't know if that's legal, quite frankly. Because, I mean, I'm surprised not more people are talking about it.
This is because of the NIL rule that the Supreme Court of the United States voted on and approved. You know, because this went to a U.S. state Supreme Court. So therefore, it makes it a national law, which would cover any property of the United States. So if they're from Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic or something like that, basically it's an NIL deal to lock him into that team prior to him being able to play.
That's
That
even
makes
for that applies for professional leagues as well.
Yeah, it would apply for professional leagues because now that they passed laws in 3 states that high school players can get NIL, that's under 18. It opens the door for a whole new ball game.
Well, I mean, it's unfortunate because if it's a timing thing, I know it's a different time period, but it's unfortunate if you're John Coppola. For those who don't know, he was the Atlanta Braves general manager who was fired and banned from Major League Baseball for a number of years for, I guess, going through loopholes regarding money and international free agent signings.
Mm-hmm.
And he got banned.
Wasn't it a 14-year-old that he signed ahead of time, but 2 years
Yeah, it
before?
was like a 14-year-old. The way he was handling money with trades, I guess, was illegal at that time. And the Braves could not sign international free agents at all for a number of years. So it just goes to show how much time has changed since then.
NIL it was good for college football and it was awful. Yes, in Georgia, Ohio, and Michigan are the 3 states where it's allowed.
Well, Georgia, not yet. The state house just passed an initiative last week,
and it's supposed to pass. It's projected to pass the Senate as well. So,
I mean, personally, high school, I think I don't agree with it on the high school level because my thing is I just feel like it's too young, in my opinion. Because, I mean, look, I interned helping cover high school football in Georgia, and anyone who's from here knows how big of a deal high school football is. We have a lot of talent that comes out of the state. Like Buford High School just spent $62 million building a state-of-the-art football stadium last year. So it's a big deal here, and I'm normally in favor of getting NIL, but I'm not in favor of this bill because a lot of these kids are 14, 15 years old. So they can't even drive yet. And now they're signing contracts, getting financial compensation. And a lot of times they're going to be making more than their teachers. It's just the principle of it is not aligned.
I get it.
What does the pre-agreement mean? Is this kid getting paid, or is it just a pre-agreement? Because Ronald Acuña Jr.'s brother was in the same situation and walked away from it and went to the Yankees instead.
I think until they turn that age to where they can actually play in a preseason game, which is what, 16? Isn't that what you said, Samir?
Yeah, 16 is when you can sign.
I think they can change because that contract, even though it's
signed, Jeremy, not placed, just signed.
Right. They're signed, but I think once they turn 16, if they decide the team is not a fit, they can null and void it because they haven't played one inning with that team. And I think that's the loophole that they get out of it with, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I know about the AAU stuff. There's a lot of under the table things as well. And like even in high school, as I was getting back to, like even without NIL, there's some under the table things. Like I know a couple years ago, there's one high school, like I think it was a 5-star recruit. His team lost in the first round of the playoffs. He transfers to another team, wins the state title with that team, and transfers back to his old school, playing for his school. Enrolled playing the very next year.
Wasn't he like a junior in high school at the time, and he wanted to be able to go back and play for his team his senior year when he won that national championship? Yeah. I remember right? Yeah. And then you had the fake high school. We all know what I'm talking about. Bishop Sycamore made up a division, made up a whole roster of teams and an entire roster for a fake football team. How crazy is that? And then when they were asked to play against, they were going to have them do like an All-American versus them because they were saying how good they were. And when the pedal got put to the metal, they had to fold.
Weren't they like grown adults as well?
Yeah. And there wasn't a single player on the roster under the age of 21. What I think it was actually a school that was defunct, and they named the team after that. And so what they did was they were doing exhibition games versus high schoolers and junior colleges, and they were using that as a real record for high school sports. They were registering it and then got busted, and they were all paid to play players way prior to NIL. I don't even remember what state they were out of, but I just remember it was Bishop Sycamore.
Crazy.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
But NIL has been in Michigan, I think, for 3 years, Ohio State for 2, and that's why Georgia's falling in line. And as more states do, it's going to become the norm. What I don't want it to become is like college football, where a kid is shopping himself to other schools in his area just to get more money. That's what I don't want to see. If it's just so they get a portion of the jersey sales that are sold at the stadium and a portion of whatever it is made off of their name, image, and likeness, which is what that originally was done for, I'm all for it.
Well, I gotta ask, like, is that my mic? Am my mic being all goofy, or am I just too close to it again?
You might be a little close to it again. Yeah, that was weird.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds.
I kept hearing that reverb and no one stopped it, so I was like, okay, maybe it's not me. Anyway, Jeremy, I got a question for you.
Okay.
If you were, jobless and looking for, you work with tires, obviously. So wouldn't you want to look around for the best tire shop to pay you?
That's different if I'm jobless. If you have a job and you're,
it doesn't matter. You want the job that pays the best.
You have to remember there are rules about what school district you live in, and there's taxes and stuff that has to be paid to the other school. To the school your district you live in, especially in Michigan.
We talking about high school or college?
I'm talking about high school.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
About high school. I don't want to see high school become like college with kids trying to sell themselves to the highest bidder. Because what's going to happen is their home school that they live at, if they don't move to the other school district, guess what? That school district is going to automatically get a percentage, at least in the state of Michigan. And that's why you haven't seen that here.
Even if the parents still live in the other school district, they're still going to pay the taxes. Now, how that works, I don't know if they still got to pay the taxes where their kid goes, but I know they're still in that district, so they're still going to pay the school taxes to the school that the kids should go to.
There's a tariff type of tax, like it. Okay, I live in the Bentley School District, but Bendel has the better football team, so I want my kid to go to Bendel. I have to pay Bentley a tax on top of paying Bendel school taxes for my kid attending. You see what I'm saying?
I don't know how that works, but that seems to be a little topic right there.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a school of choice thing where you have to pay a charter to go to the other school, but your property taxes, which is your millage, still go to your home school. That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So we move on to the Tom Brady Act. I mean, the Patrick Mahomes taking the pay cut act.
Let's go there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Patrick Mahomes restructured his deal, saving the team $35.6 million this year. And everybody says, "Oh, but it's going to be
43.6." They now opened up.
I mean, it cleared up $35.6 million in cap is what I'm getting at. That's what it all boils down to. And everybody's like, "Well, next year it's going to go up to 79." I said, evidently nobody understands how a restructure works. It doesn't just work for the year you're in. It works for the length of the contract. What it does is it moves that money either more evenly across the board in your contract, or it adds void years on the end. You still get that money that you were guaranteed up front. It's just stretched out over time, so it doesn't hit the cap as hard.
So it's like a deferred payment.
Yes.
You want to get rid of baseball.
I think the max right now in the NFL is 2 void years.
So why is it okay in football but not baseball?
We're not talking about where you make $2 million a year, and at the end of it, you're going to get another $58 million per year lump summed at the end.
I'm just saying, Jared. I'm just saying, if you're going to eliminate in one sport, you better eliminate in all four.
$580 million in deferred money in 1 year after it's done. Yeah, it does matter. There's a huge difference there.
No, because you should. Why should it be available in all four sports? It should all be the same.
Okay, it should be the same, but it shouldn't be. It should not be 98% of your salary is paid as soon as you're done with your contract. That's what I'm getting at. That's not what they're doing.
So, I mean, didn't that start with Bobby Bonilla and Ken Griffey Jr.?
No, they had a thing where they got so much per year for X amount of years once they retired.
Right, deferred payments up until
I understand what you're saying. I'm talking about Shohei Ohtani, who only is getting paid $2 million per year to the end of his contract.
What are you talking about? But I mean, if you're going to play the game, you got to play the game on all four fields.
Right, but you can't. It can't be $580 million of your $600 million salary. That's what I'm getting at. Not for 1 year after you retire, because it's a one lump sum. It isn't stretched out. It isn't the Bobby Bonilla. It's okay. He's done. He retired. Give him his money.
Smartest man in the world.
I think it's ridiculous.
Well, from his aspect, it's smart. But I mean, how you don't understand your mentor or speaker is gambling your money away doesn't make sense to me still.
I don't want to.
That went away very quickly, didn't it? Because he's the face of the MLB.
Thanks, Earl. Glad you're here and you're enjoying our show. We appreciate you.
Candy, you're getting frustrated about a little bit.
More than X amount of percentage of your salary deferred to all the 1 year is ridiculous. That's what I was getting at.
I think it's smart from a perspective of getting paid.
And where it was smart was on the Dodgers' part. $2 million a year over 20 years. So he's going to get $40 million. Then at the end, he gets the rest of it.
I don't know about you, but that's a hell of a payday.
Oh, yeah. But it's ridiculous because that makes it so the team still had money when they shouldn't have to go sign other players. This is what everybody was talking about. It was supposed to be he was going to be the $60 million a year pitcher/hitter.
So didn't Patrick Mahomes just do the same thing so we could sign more players?
You're missing the point. He didn't reduce it to $2 million a year.
I'm not missing any point. You're the one who's saying that they deferred payments. Then you shouldn't be able to change your contract at all across all four boards. Because Patrick Mahomes just restructured his contract so they could sign 3 to 4 more players.
It's not 98% of his contract renegotiated. That's what I'm saying.
So what was Mahomes' contract before? Because now all of a sudden he just lost what?
It was like
$43 million.
$43 million.
The average of his contract the average of his contract was originally $51 million a year. This was the balloon payment year. In other words, the highest one. What they did, instead of it going like this, they leveled it out so it would clear cap across the board. It's still the same amount of money. It just added 2 void years on the end. Instead of there being really high years and really low years, it averages it out, and at the end, he's going to have 2 void years.
Yeah, honestly, I'm just kind of curious to see what they're going to do with it. Because they have a need at wide receiver. Rashee Rice can't stay on the field. Xavier Worthy's been kind of up and down. They're gonna reunite with Tyreek Hill. I feel like that makes a lot of sense for both sides, even though Tyreek Hill's 32, coming off that major knee injury. Or or they go after another Dolphins receiver. Rumor is that Jalen Waddle is going to be the next person out in Miami. They're going to try and trade him. So would they trade a 2nd-round pick for him? 2nd or 3rd, maybe. Remember, they have an early pick now. I would not be surprised. I'd look out for them to draft Jeremiah Love with that pick.
I would love to see Patrick Mahomes.
I would love to see Jeremiah Love in that offense.
Me too.
Unfortunately, there's another team that's never had a 1,000-yard receiver since Mark Ingram left, and they're probably taking Jeremiah Love ahead of them, the Saints.
I hope not.
I hope his career doesn't ruin.
I hope not. I hope they don't. I hope they don't draft him because
That's what I'm hearing. That's their number one target on their draft board.
I was reading offensive lineman.
yeah. Well, no, they've drafted offensive line in the first round the past couple of years.
I was reading them taking what was his name? I haven't really looked, but I know I've seen offensive line in a couple drafts that I've looked over. That's just me, Jeremy. Obviously, you do your show every day. You pay way more attention to this shit than I do, so you know if you know where they're heading. I have not looked that far yet, but
I love go more to the Saints in the mock drafts I've done, and I've done 55 of them since the week we played the Rams.
No, that wouldn't be good.
Jeremiah Love would be a huge boon because then Kamara becomes that lightning to his thunder. In other words, the two-headed monster that they had at Notre Dame, they said they called them Batman and Robin, if you remember right.
I remember.
Mm-hmm. I mean, with the Chiefs doing that now, they're roughly over their cap space by now set roughly $11 million over the cap.
I heard it gave him $35.6 million in cap.
I heard they have 43.6 million with this move. That's why I was saying 43.6.
Right. I apologize. They entered the offseason in a salary cap crunch. With this move, it creates $43.56 million in cap room because it drops his cap number from 78.2 to 34.65. Now, he does have a cap hit next year of over $85 million.
But imagine they'll try and do the same thing again.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is kind of what Brady did how many times in his career so that he could get other weapons.
He went from 100 million to 60 million. I mean, 40 million. He opened up 60 million in that cap space.
Yeah, he did it 3 times in his career. He did it twice with the Patriots and once with Tampa Bay the last year he was there when they re-signed him. He restructured it to get 2 void years on it to make it even less.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what people want the ring. They want the rings more than the money.
Stafford did it twice with Detroit. But you know what the problem was? We had idiot GMs at the time. Oh, Motown Mitch, good to see you, brother.
Earl's got a question for Adam.
I would love to see Will Howard run this offense. I've been saying this for a while. Aaron's old. But let Will Howard get some reps at least. I mean, I don't understand why Tomlin didn't let him have some reps in that playoff game. We were down so bad, and I didn't understand that at all. I mean, we were booing it. We were like, why do they have Mason in there when you could let Will Howard get some experience? Just get a couple plays. I mean, they let Rudolph play for almost 4 minutes. They could have let Howard play for 4 minutes.
I think it could work. The problem is Will Howard came from that one school that hasn't had one quarterback be good for more than a year called OSU.
Well, we might not know if that goofball comes back.
And I'm not trying to be mean, but look at the track history of OSU quarterbacks in the NFL.
I get it, Jerm. I get it. I mean, Dwayne Haskins was a good one out of there. Kind of got snowballed. I don't understand what happened that night that all that shit went down. A lot of people say he was completely wasted running across Highway 1, and I don't understand why he was doing that.
What I read on the autopsy report, he was drugged. It wasn't just that he was drunk. He was inebriated, but not so much he should have been in the condition he was in. His vehicle ran out of gas. He grabbed a gas can and he literally stepped out in front of a dump truck
On an interstate. Yep.
on the side of an interstate in Florida. And I believe he was at Trubisky's. He was at Mitch Trubisky's house because they were celebrating his birthday. It was his birthday party at Mitch Trubisky's house in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But Tomlin's not there. But yeah, that's probably why Aaron Rodgers started.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll see a little more of the same with McCarthy as well, like him when it comes to him favoring veterans. Yeah, but apparently Rodgers is saying he wants to come back and give it another year. I don't think he should, but he said he wants to come back.
Well, he did tell them, he said, if you hire McCarthy, I want to come back.
No.
I mean, didn't he have a say in getting McCarthy fired in Green Bay?
Mm-hmm.
There's rumors that that's what it was. But you have to look where it came out of. You know, some of those sites that put out stuff like that. It's like listening to your favorite politician. You can tell when they're lying because their lips are moving.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl. What better time to put your team up for sale when they're up on top?
Well, because I was talking with the Seahawks fan on my show last night, I got the lowdown about it. Paul Gardner-Allen, the one that bought the Seahawks in 2007, had it in his estate that if he was to pass, because none of the children want to run the team, all of his sports teams, which include the Seattle Sounders, which is the soccer team, the Portland Trail Blazers, which there's already a deal in place, they're waiting for it to close, and the Seahawks would all go up for sale. The asking price on the Seahawks is at an $8 billion minimum and upwards of $13 million, and it all based on if they won the Super Bowl. Now, there's another stipulation in there that nobody pays attention to. If it sells for $8 to $10 million, the kids get the original purchase price that it was in 2007 of $1.5 billion to split between the three of them. If it sells for $10 billion or more, then it jumps to 25%. The remaining percentage all goes to charities in the Seattle area. And I think that was a brilliant philanthropic way of setting up your estate when you know your kids don't want to run your team. So they will get a new owner. It's just a question of when and how much.
Well, also matter who. If anyone with ties to that area, I could see Steve Ballmer buying it. I mean, Steve Ballmer's got the money, he's got the ties to the area. Really can't think of anyone else. Unless it would have to be similar to when Josh Harris bought the Sixers, it would be a partnership where he's the majority owner, but a bunch of other guys chip in.
And with that new stadium, I believe they're under contract through 2035 to stay in the area. The way when they redid that stadium, they renewed a contract with the city. So they're to stay there until 2035.
I was going to say, because I was there in 2005 or 2004. It's still the same stadium. It was just called Quest.
Right, but they did modifications and added on to it and everything else too.
Now, what about the soccer team? Is the soccer team included in this sale, or
each team is being sold separately? But it all covers under the estate, and it all has the same conditions.
Now, does anyone know if the Kraken's owner or the Mariners owner have looked into this to try and get the two for, try and do the whole TV rights?
It would be smart if one of them did, really. If you think about it, if they have the money.
Yeah.
At a minimum of $8 billion, upwards to $13 billion.
I mean, I'll say this: whoever takes over, it's going to be pretty hard for them to mess this up. I mean, they have everything. They've got coach, general manager, got a quarterback. They've got a loaded roster. They just pretty much have to sit back and count money.
And don't forget, every NFL team, we've seen this where the breakdown, all of them make right about $900 million a year net. Some will make a little more, some make a little less, and some of it's split because it's a group instead of a single owner. But that's what the ownership of each team gets as a net is about $900 million a year.
I figured he would have waited. Now I don't know how that works because I know FIFA's being played there. So would he make money on FIFA or no?
The estate will, if it's not sold, it'll go to the estate. Any profits goes to the estate and to be split once it's sold.
But wouldn't that go to the city then because they own the stadium and this isn't a team of any of theirs?
Okay, I'm buying them tomorrow. Love it, Earl.
But I mean, that is not how that works because this isn't a team-owned thing. This is a city-owned stadium, right?
It's city-owned.
So all that money should go into the city, right?
The team is still owned by the estate of Paul Gardner Allen.
No, I'm talking about FIFA though. None of those teams play there. So how does that work?
Any outside ticket sales, I don't know what the contracts are. You know what I'm saying? I just know what the NFL side is.
Okay.
So I know that if they do stuff, it is to whatever profit it is. It's okay, Candy. You can take a nap.
Candy.
I'm here. He's
You
buying
need
them.
You need a Red Bull.
I do. At this point. So, is there an NFL team that's never been sold before?
The Texans haven't been sold. I think they're the youngest franchise in the NFL, so I'm sure they haven't been sold yet. I think the McNair families own them entire time. I don't think the Packers, they've been community owned.
The Ravens haven't been sold either. The Ravens haven't been sold.
Yep, Green Bay's never sold because it's community owned.
Steelers
were bought back in 1933 for you know how much?
Well, I'm not going to say much. Maybe 13,000.
25.
And we were the worst franchise until 70.
The Ravens were bought for $600 million in 2000. The Chicago Bears were bought for $100 back in 1920.
I think the Cincinnati Bengals, Paul Brown owned them, and then Mike Brown is owned now.
I'm pretty sure the Giants haven't been sold either. We're still on them.
Let's see. The New York Giants were bought in 1925 for $500.
Let me write a check.
Amen.
Yes. Need to drink some. I'm drinking some Diet Mountain Dew, but I don't even have enough of it. It's gone, so that's not good. But anyways.
It's also diet.
It is. It is.
Better energy.
You need the real stuff, like Jeremy's about to break out there.
Let's see what other team is interesting. I love these teams that haven't been bought for like forever, and so they were bought for such a small amount.
The radio group back in 1934 bought the Lions from the owner of the Portsmouth Spartans. And then William Clay Ford bought it in 1963 from the group as an individual owner. And then it's been handed down ever since from Martha and then to Sheila Ford.
Right, but in 64 he bought it for $5 million.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Put that into from that money to today's money, that's a $13 billion purchase.
But if you think about it, Kansas City, they were bought in 1960, so not that far in front of the Lions, and they were bought for $25,000.
Anybody have a time machine? I would like to go back in time.
Yeah,
And
but
buy
the
it.
Lions were already established, right? The Chiefs didn't come around till
Yeah, the Chiefs were bought strictly into the AFL, if I remember right.
I think
But they did
58.
that.
I think another one is the Raiders. I think Al Davis was the founding owner.
And then
And
he
when
gave
he
it to his son
passed,
Mark.
he's handed it to Mark Davis, who's the current owner now.
In '66, the Raiders were bought for $180,000.
Right. Basically, they bought the franchise rights. That
Yep.
was, if you think about it, what it is. That's the franchise cost from back then till now.
Mhm.
And
Earl,
now,
by the time
instead of when you're doing an expansion team like that, because that's what they did was they expanded the AFL to add teams.
I was gonna say if I had a time machine, Earl, I'd go back and get that Honest Wagner tobacco card, keep it wrapped up, and get my ass back home.
Or go back to 1951 for the Mickey Mantle rookie card.
I want the Honest Wagner. I feel that's a little bit better of a card, Jim. I mean, then you might as well go get the Wayne Gretzky Apache card too.
And the number one Action Comics with Superman in it.
The Superman #1 edition, absolutely.
And the number one edition of X-Men for Marvel.
I think Spider-Man is more.
I believe it or not, it was the one that introduced Craven that is the most expensive Spider-Man. I believe that was either 13 or 42. I can't remember. I used to do comic book collecting, so I used to know all this
I
stuff.
could go find it. I know my old man has them somewhere.
You'd be sitting on about 500,000. Up with the hope and down with the dope.
Crazy, crazy. And the Cardinals were last bought 1932 for $50,000. Some
That was
crazy
a
numbers.
lot of money in 1932. You're talking right after the Depression.
Right.
Right after Prohibition ended, when they could finally sell beer in the stadium again.
Hell, they used to drink beer for breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
That
guys.
would sure make the birthday fun.
Yeah.
That would make the birthday fun.
As we all know, next week MLB preseason starts.
It's
I think
Saturday.
Yep. Well, I'm just saying in this next week because we're week to week.
Do some games start tomorrow? Do some teams play tomorrow?
Saturday, not Friday. I don't think Saturday.
I didn't see anything for Friday. I thought it was Saturday. But so this next week we'll actually have some MLB preseason stuff to talk about. Possibly about who from the minor leagues is with their teams and how they're doing and how their averages and their ERAs and everything else is. And if I remember right, a lot of those exhibition games in the first week is like a pro team versus a college team, is it not? There's a few of those in there.
Some of them, because like the Gophers, University of Minnesota Gophers are playing the Minnesota Twins, but the Padres are playing the Mariners. The Diamondbacks are playing the Rockies. The White Sox are playing the Cubs. Royals versus Rangers. Then in Red Sox Boston Red Sox are playing the Huskies. So yes, and then the Orioles are playing the Yankees, and that's actually tomorrow. That's not even Saturday. That's tomorrow.
Yeah, I thought there were games tomorrow.
You are correct.
Okay. So still, next week is when we actually get to talk about analysis of MLB teams in the preseason. How about that? That being said, I think with the additions to the Lions rotation, the Tigers rotation and their starting rotation with Tariq Skubal, Frambe Valdez, Justin Verlander, Casey Mize, I think the odd man now when Jackson Jobe comes back from injury in May is probably Jeff Flaherty, and he may get demoted to the mid reliever role.
Okay.
Candy, did your Brewers do too much to ruin it, or are they going to be on a rebuild?
Pat Murphy gets a lot out of his team no matter what. They needed to get something for Freddie Peralta because he's going to be a free agent, and if they don't for a small market team, if they don't deal them and get something for them ahead of free agency, then they get nothing. So at least they got some more prospects. It depends on how our prospects pan out. So it'll be interesting.
You got the Mets, what, top 5 prospect, 2 of them?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the one thing we did today is we did re-sign Pat Murphy to a new 3-year deal with a club option for 2029. So adds 2 more years to his. So we redid that today. Obviously, he's had success the last 2 years that he's managed for us. So, and before that, he was the bench coach under Council. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the Brewers' season is going to look like.
I think it's going to be the Reds, Pirates, Cubs, or it's going to be those 3 teams at the top. I don't really have an order. I haven't broken it all down yet, but that's my top 3.
Okay. I hope you're wrong because I hope the Brewers are in there, but you never know.
I have a final update. The Pistons beat the Knicks 126-111 without Beef Stew and Jalen Duren.
Did Cunningham end up with 40? I know he was at 37 last I looked.
I will tell you right now because I'm going into it. 42 points. Let me guess, did you do a little parlay with that?
No, I had him in my DFS. I didn't look at my other guys though. I think I even had a Hawk in my lineup tonight. I don't know why. Maybe because he was cheap. Samir, you look dead down there, buddy. You look like you're ready.
I'm good. I'm good.
You look like you're ready to go to bed.
I'm good.
You look like you're ready to be like, hey, how's it going, man? All right.
That's it for my town is talking about the MLB preseason coming up and the Tigers rotation.
Okay. What's happening in your
team? So the Hawks beat the Sixers 117-107 today. Jalen Johnson at 32, 10, and 5. So they moved back into the 9th spot in the Eastern Conference for playing standings because the Hornets lost earlier. They've got the Heat coming to town tomorrow night, and then Tuesday and Thursday next week they have 2 straight games here at State Farm Arena against the Wizards. Trey's first time back in Atlanta, but he's not going to play in either of those games. The Wizards are talk about blatantly tanking. They're shutting everyone down, it seems like. And
are you going to try and go to any of them games, man?
We'll see. I think I've got school both those days, so we'll see.
I was just wondering,
so the Braves pitching rotation, they just can't stop taking hits. Hurston Waldrop actually pitched in the second half of last year. He was a 22-year-old rookie, finished well, and like Spencer Schroenbach, he had some loose tendons or bodies in his elbow, so they're both going to have surgery, and we don't know how long they're going to be out. That's all I have. That's it from my town.
Adam, what's happening in your town?
Well, I think we're all on edge because of the Sidney Crosby news. The Penguins were flying high, and then all of a sudden this news comes out. And I think it's funny, like everyone's saying, like, should NHL players be playing in the Olympics after the Crosby injury? But I'd be more concerned after the Fiala injury out there in LA. That was the first big injury, and you never seen any of them type any of that stuff. It was only when Crosby got hurt they typed that. But I mean, these guys know what they're getting into. Every game, someone could get hurt. Every game, someone can get drastically hurt. Or you come off and do nothing and you skate to the next game. I mean, that's if you don't get out there and try, obviously you're not going to win or lose, right?
Right.
I am focusing on Connor Griffin making this team. I don't want to see him sent down. I want to see him be a starting shortstop, but a lot of people are saying Nick Gonzalez is going to be the starting shortstop. But the way he's hitting it right now, I know he's not hitting off anyone, but he's tearing the crap out of the ball down there in Bradenton. So I hope Connor Griffin makes his team. And Steelers, we talked about Rodgers, and that's all the talk around here. Is he coming or going?
I got you. Well, we just talked about Pat Murphy for the Brewers, and I've talked before about Freddie Peralta getting traded and some of their other Durbin getting traded. It'll be interesting to see what the Brewers do. As far as college basketball, the Badgers are finally ranked. They've had some big wins. They lost this week to Ohio State, but they're now ranked 24th, and now is when you want to be playing good basketball and you want to have some quality wins so you can get into the tournament. With that being said, I will say the Wisconsin Badgers hockey team showing up because some of them are playing for the women's hockey in the Olympics. So like Layla Edwards was playing. She had an assist. Kudos to Jason Kelsey and his wife because they pledged $10,000 to Layla and her family to get them over there so that she could play and they could watch. I think that's cool when you hear athletes like that helping other athletes.
Jay and Kylie they're over there watching. No.
Yeah. So I think that's cool. As far as down here where we live, not this weekend, but the following weekend, we are going to hopefully get credentialed to see one of the Miami Hurricanes men's basketball games. They're actually playing pretty good this year. Coach has them playing pretty good. And then that would be Saturday. And then Sunday, from a week from Sunday, we are going to try and see if we can get into a spring training game because there are some venues down here that I have not seen. Scott and I have been to Phoenix and Arizona and been to all the Cactus League stadiums. If you don't know, the Cactus League stadiums are all about within an hour and a half, maybe at most, distance-wise. Whereas over here in the Grapefruit League, it could be at least 4 or 5 hours traveling time between venues and stuff like that. So there are some of the stadiums that have not hit down here, and we're hoping to hit a couple of them during spring training this year. So
I know Dylan's working that Boston game. He works. Yeah. I think he works in the scoreboard. I'm not sure what he does.
Works at the big wall because it's pretty much Fenway South. I mean, down here, big. That's one of the stadiums I have been to, but there is a couple that I have not been to.
So, awesome.
Yeah, excited about that. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I am so looking forward to see what the results are next week in Indianapolis.
Oh, that's right, the combine.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. That'll be cool. Cool experience for you too. With that, I'm gonna do my station break because I haven't done that yet. So let's do that. South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by my husband, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morgenroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved and changed. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It's also out on audio version, so if that's what you prefer, go get that version. There's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great other content. In fact, if you want to read, Jeremy has written numerous draft prospects, and they're all up on South Florida Tribune. I know he's going to talk about that, but I like to highlight that. Because if you're interested into the NFL draft, you got to go read his prospects, and a bunch of them are up there. In fact, some of them we interviewed at the Senior Bowl, and he wrote about them. So you can read his article and then see the interview that we did. As far as if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you haven't subscribed to us yet. Please do so. click it, like us, share us, and then tell all your friends and family, and turn on your notifications. You're notified every time we go live. And then I would also ask you to subscribe to everybody else that participates on our channel. Without them, we would not be here. So please help us help them as well, because they're graciously giving up their time. So with that, Adam, how can people find you?
You can get me at Driving to the Top Productions. You can get me at Ad McNally on Facebook. You can get me at Ad Sports Talking It on Twitter. I'm not sure, Earl, what are the girls won today, so we beat Canada once. Is that what? I'm not
The
sure.
girls won gold, so we're done. So it's now the men's.
And the men's can clinch gold. I think they play what, Candy? You said they play tomorrow.
I believe so, yes. Let me see. I'm double checking as we speak.
I think both teams play tomorrow.
That's 3:10 tomorrow.
And then Canada plays first, I think.
Canada plays Finland at 10:40 a.m. and then United States plays Slovakia at 3:10. So yes. Samir, how can people get a hold of you?
You can find me on Fire Up every Thursday night. You can find a lot of my articles and a lot of my work on the South Florida Tribune website. And you can find and I also promote a lot of my work on my Twitter handle as well at ATL_Samir2401. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week.
I forgot. I should have mentioned, Samir, you do write for us. You give us the Atlanta side of things.
Right.
We love it. So thank you for writing as well. Got to get Adam writing, but I know he's so busy, so I keep talking about it, but
I looked into it. I started writing, but then I can't read my own handwriting. In other words, I got to learn how to type.
talk to text, right, Jeremy?
That's right. The program is called Cortana. If you can't use that, even Copilot built into Windows has it.
I'll have to look into that other one because I don't have Cortana. We tried to look at that the other night, Jeremy. Huh?
Yeah.
Jeremy, how can people find you?
Well, first and foremost, as Candy mentioned, you can find my writings right here at the SouthFloridaTribune.com. You can also find me right here on Fire Up every Thursday. And starting next week, I heard I'm going to be on Inside the Pigskins going forward. So twice a week on the South Florida Tribune channel. You can also find me Monday through Friday at noon on my channel, which is Kneecap Fighting with the Motor City Lions. On Wednesday night, I have my NFL show, which is the NFL Roundtable Talk. And then on Fridays, I have the Lions Fan Cave Chat. And on Saturdays, started this season, I have the Baseball Roundtable Talks. So I'm doing 10 shows a week on my channel alone.
Oh, God. I did it again, didn't I? I just told you where to find me. I didn't say when to find me.
And you can find me occasionally, if ever I can be again, you can find me occasionally on Open Sports Night with Adam on Tuesday night, where they do kind of like a roundtable thing like this, where we talk a little bit about all sports, but mainly NFL and baseball.
Anyway,
That's
yeah. And I'm doing a baseball show too, but we're going to try and do. Me and Jeremy are going to work on different topics, so we're not overlapping. We're going to try. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but we're going to try.
some of them might be good enough that we do.
Yeah. So that's our goal. I wanted to do a baseball show, and Jeremy's like, I'm doing a baseball show too. So I was like, well, we can coordinate this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I gotcha. Jeremy, you want to end us?
As always, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. You have to change it within yourself before you can change your surroundings around.
Much love, everybody. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel.